Hey, real estate agents, welcome to the Weekly Closer. I'm your host, Jeff Underwood, along with my co-host, Joey Sampaga. How's it going back there behind that computer and soundboard and all that great stuff?
Pretty darn good. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing good. It's getting hot, though.
It is getting warm.
Driving down here, I think my car said like 112 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, not liking that. Not liking that at all. Hey, guys, we have an incredible guest with us today. They're going to share about a kind of a solution that can help a lot of homeowners or renters out there in the marketplace. So let's welcome Darryl Lewis with ThinkTrio. How's it going, Darryl?
Hey, great. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, I'm looking forward to sharing more about what ThinkTrio is. And I know that a lot of agents will be able to jump on the agent site that you guys have and find out more as well. So we'll make sure they know where that is. But why don't you first start with introducing yourself to people that are watching or listening, and tell us how you got connected to real estate and how long ago that might have been.
Yeah, thanks. Well, I mean, my background is I actually came out of public accounting, believe it or not. So I'm a retired CPA and got into real estate and technology back then. Started a technology company back in the .com era, as a matter of fact. So dating myself a bit. And then in 2001, I sold that and got into the residential business, just learning and seeing what would be the next company. And from the time I got in, I learned the business from the ground up, like most people have, and got in and got my real estate license and started a mortgage company and started a real estate practice as well. So I had a couple of franchises up in the Pacific Northwest, in the Seattle area, and started to purchase single family rentals. This was back in 2001, and I really liked the appreciation in the single family rental side. But what was challenging was obviously matching rents with home prices. But what I started to see is that, there was a gap in consumers that were coming in on our mortgage side and what they could qualify for. And so I started looking into leasing and lease purchase. I had an auto industry background as well. So I was curious why, the residential space didn't have an auto lease type product. And so that was the genesis of Trio. And I did a bunch of research and put the first families into lease purchase homes back in 2001 through 2003, and really saw what the impact would be if we could pre-qualify families, let them go shopping just like you do with a mortgage, and then put them into the homes and finance those properties for them, really just like home ownership. And so we did that. I did that, for a number of years. And then back in 2003, I contacted Fannie Mae and, from some additional research, found out that they had something that really hadn't been used much. And for lack of a better term, it was called a lease purchase mortgage. And so I designed the first and implemented with Fannie Mae the first scattered site lease purchase mortgage program from 2003 to 2007. And then we all know what happened in 2008 to, whatever you want to call the end was of the downturn in the cycle.
Sure.
And we did a lot of things. Trio was formed back in 2007. And we did a lot of things, throughout the country, helping people stay in their homes using deed for lease. We actually worked with the state of Arizona, the Department of Housing, through the U.S. Treasury Department. I designed a program with them to help people stay in their homes. And then after the crisis, we started to refocus on what our program was originally designed to do, which is to help people get into home ownership.
Got it.
And so we developed a similar model with FHA. And so now we're using FHA mortgages and public-private partnerships behind the Trio platform. And so our customers are able to lease a home from us, and those customers are from a broad base of backgrounds. So that's where this thing came from.
Got it. All right. Yeah, I guess you've been working on this for a while, huh?
We're probably the most experienced company in lease to own that there is, probably, has ever been. So
yeah, absolutely. So consumers can go to ThinkTrio.com, and that gives them, I'm on the site right now, gives them a lot of great information about how it works, when to lease, locations that you guys service. There's resources on there, webinars. So it looks like you've got everything covered right here on this site for them, for sure.
Yeah, I always get accused of over disclosure. So there's a lot more information on that website, and then even more on the agent and industry website that we have.
Sure, sure. So how are you seeing it working right now? What states are you guys in right now, and what kind of expansion do you see?
Yeah, so we launched the FHA program in California and Georgia, and we just are expanding into the states of Arizona, Nevada, and Texas. And we've got a number of other states on the way, including Colorado and a few others. So, we work with FHA, and so each state we launch within, we do end up working with a governmental partner. So it may be a housing finance agency. In Georgia, it's the city of Atlanta. In California, it's a joint powers authority and a number of other housing authority and housing finance agencies within those states. And we do that because that's what allows us to offer the FHA program. And what I mean by that is that when you lease with us, what's super unique, and we're the first ones to have ever done this, is that when we close on that home, it's a normal transaction. So an agent represents a consumer, just like they do with a mortgage. We don't, exclude agents. Any agent can participate. We actually then let lenders, and again, any lender can participate in our wholesale channel. They originate an FHA loan for our entity in that state who's the borrower on that loan. And most, industry people say, well, you can't do that. Never seen that happen before. But actually, the provisions have been in FHA's handbook since the beginning of FHA. And we just had to be the first company to put it all together to make it work. And so we solved all of the gaps that were in that ability to originate that FHA loan to an institutional borrower. And we're able to do that in terms of those markets statewide. So we love those partnerships with our governmental agencies and our nonprofits. It really helps round out the program.
Yeah.
We add a lot of features for our consumers. Our single focus is to help people transition into home ownership and to open up the door for more families that typically would just wait and rent instead of getting into their home, securing their home price, and in our case, securing an interest rate through this FHA loan,
Right.
and being able to purchase when they're ready.
Okay. So walk me through then an example of, let's say, a couple that maybe they're just not at a point where they can buy yet. So what's the process?
Yeah, and so it's not only folks that can't buy yet, but also, we work with a lot of builders, and so at the new construction level, Trio tends to be used as a backup plan in many cases.
Okay.
And so it's mortgage eligible folks that may be on the borderline, and that might be that they need, some down payment assistance, or maybe they need a 97 or 96.5% mortgage, but their credit score may be a little bit below those programs. Like the state of Arizona's is at 640, and you might be at a 620, and you're not able to get access to that down payment assistance. We can help in those situations. And also a lot of people that are in that self-employed 1099, gig economy workers that are doing things different now. And our underwriting guidelines for the mortgage companies don't allow a lot of that stuff. So it's not just people that failed to get a mortgage. It's people that are sitting on the sidelines that just don't know about our program yet. So that's why we're excited to be on your program.
Yeah, for sure.
But process-wise, for the consumer, we really encourage them to make application, and you'll see that apply button on every page on ThinkTrio.com. And that application is similar to, it's kind of a cross between a mortgage and a rental application. And that will, there's a general information that you would see on those types of applications that they need to provide to us. And they do, one thing we do that's unique is we want them to know their credit score. So we have them do a lookup and then provide that documentation to us as part of their application process.
Okay. All right. So somebody can go through the application process. So are they finding a house, I guess, to You said your
Yeah.
property. So what kind of inventory are we talking about? Is this just going out to what's
Yes.
out available to rent right now?
Yeah, great question. So, once they get approved, and typically that, if the consumer's ready, all right,
Mhm.
let's talk about it this way. If the consumer's ready, they've got asset documentation, they've got income documentation, they can upload that stuff to us. We can get their approval turned around quickly within a couple of days. Um, that approval letter then is just like a mortgage approval letter. That's being then provided to their real estate agent partner, and their agent is going out and work with them to select any home in the market that is, equal to or below their approval amount.
Okay.
And our program is typically gauged on FHA guidelines, right? So we're FHA loan limit plus 3%. And so you can see that on our website. For example, Phoenix, we're up to 325 in terms of home price.
Yeah.
So we're not going to hit every home price, of course, because we're below conventional limits in Arizona, as an example.
Sure. Right.
But other states, we're right there. In California, for example, we go, we'll finance $800,000 home in the East Bay market.
Got it. All right. So you're actually helping get the financing put together then?
Well, we are providing the financing.
Okay, because that's where I was missing the link a little bit. I'm like, okay, well.
Yep. So we actually do purchase the homes.
Got
the
it.
FHA
Got
loan
it.
that I mentioned is actually originated to our closing company, our closing entity that holds title to the homes during the lease period.
Got it.
The purchase process is super unique, but it's very simple once agents understand. So what we do is encourage them to go to trioresidential.com,
Right.
attend one of our weekly webinars, which they can find a link there, or at trioevents.com. And that will help them understand. And essentially, in a nutshell, they negotiate the sale directly with the consumer. Consumer puts in earnest money.
Yep.
They take it through inspection, and then they upload that inspection and the purchase and sale agreement, which we have an addendum that goes with that, up to our website. When we approve that home, and the consumer then gets their pricing for their lease on that specific house, so what exactly their monthly lease payment's going to be and their option price, then that consumer is signing their lease. We're taking over through an assignment of contract, which the seller already knows up front that that's going to happen. We take over through an assignment, and then we provide that to our lenders, who's going to order appraisal and take it through to closing. We sign all of the documents through our teams, so those are centrally signed. It's a very efficient process. The only areas where we always encourage agents to pay attention to, hiccups are at inspection and appraisal, always, right?
Sure.
Same thing with our program.
Got it.
So we need to be wary of those items, and then also be thinking about that time period between contract submission, lease signing, and the assignment of contract to ensure that we can keep things moving through to the end. Closing timelines for us are, it's an FHA loan, so typically those are a little bit longer. We have an FHA appraisal, but everything is teed up. We've closed them as quick as 25 days from start to finish. If it's not, then it can roll into 45, right? So it's really important that the agents are teed in with us, both the selling agent and the listing agent.
Got it. No, so that connects the dots for me, because I was trying to go through my head, figured out, okay, well, who's buying the house? So who owns the house, right? So you guys are helping with the purchase on the front end. They're getting in, they're leasing. Then once they qualify, they're getting the house at that point too.
Yeah. Let me talk about the lease a little bit. Is that all right?
Sure.
Yeah. So the lease for the consumer, and again, this is super unique. I mentioned what we really try and do for our families and households is to make their purchase process, one that they can afford. And we ensure that affordability by a couple of things. Our main program is called Trio First, and that is a 3-year lease. So it's a fixed 3-year term. Their monthly payments are fixed for that 3 years. So, out of the gate, it's security for families that have been renting.
Got it.
Single family trades all the time, right? So they're renting in one single family, big enough for the kids and all that stuff in the right neighborhood, and then turn around, the investor wants to sell it, and they've got to move.
Got it. Yep.
So at least the families, even if they don't buy the homes from us, which they don't have to purchase, there is a walk away, just like you do with a car lease. But they have 3 years that they know they're going to be in that home. They can make it their own. They can paint walls. They can do normal things that you would as a homeowner. But we provide what I call kind of a chaperone over that whole time when they're in the home. We include 24 months of homeownership counseling. And that's a combination of over the phone counseling and, texts and emails and website stuff. And then there's another 12 months of post-purchase counseling that we include once they buy. We also have a whole home care program that goes around the property that includes warranties from Fidelity and First American, whichever one is best in that market.
Right.
And there's a home care program with healthy home checkups that are provided by BPG Inspections, another Fidelity company, and truly helping people understand how to take care of their home. But what's really powerful is the option price. So if the consumers pay 24 months of payments on time, right, the first 2 years, they're going to get to purchase that home from us for the cost of the property when we purchase it initially, right, with them, plus just 1%. So if you think about that, and you think about the amount of wealth families can generate, we just closed a home in California about, I guess it was about 6 weeks ago. And the family had been in there 23 months, not even the full 2 years, let alone the 3 years time period. And it was about a $500,000 house, so it wasn't a $300,000, but they ended up with $70,000 in equity in that house. And they used a chunk of that for their down payment. Because because of our partnerships with government agencies, we can gift down payment funds. So if you just go private capital, and we have competitors out there, right? They're charging 3 to 5% per year in home price increase. We lock ours down for our customers. Just pay 24 months on time, and you're at cost plus 1%. So you can see just by that, what we're really about. We're here to help people get into home ownership, and we secure that home price for them, but also that interest rate is there. Now, the last couple of years, rates haven't gone up like we all kind of thought they would. But if they do, then they're locked in today, and they can assume our FHA loans. So not only do they have a low home price, but they can also look at that underlying loan to be able to fall back on, if you will, if interest rates go up and they don't want to get into a new loan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds great. So agents that are listening, they can go to, you said trioresidential.com. That's TRIO residential.com. And right there is a webinar. Looks like they can watch. There's resources. So agents, make sure to check that out. It looks like it's a pretty simple process to get started.
Yeah, for agents, it's a pretty simple process. We do have a broker referral agreement. And like I said, we work with any agency out there. So we are the procuring cause. We are the purchaser of that home. And part of what we do is that when that contract is turned into us, we take over the transaction management through the end.
Yeah.
And so we do have a 25% referral fee on that full commission. And so, agents oftentimes get hung up on that. And I always remind them that typically we're closing on homes that would be a zero for them.
Right.
A failed closing.
Sure.
Not a closing that they would be able to do through a mortgage. And we're doing a lot of the work in that transaction. Plus, why we can bring that home price down to that cost plus 1% is because everybody participates in helping make that home more affordable. So a little bit of that 25% helps offset our costs. Our lenders who participate, there's a program fee with them as well. So there's, I kind of call it the Robin Hood effect. That's my loving term for it. It's like, look, if we all do a little bit to help these households out, we can provide a very compelling program and bring more homeowners into our marketplace and just service people the right way.
No, that's great. That's great. Yeah, it seems like to me so far, everything I've heard, everything I've seen on here seems like a pretty cool program. It really does.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's a great program. And our, households, really like it. The folks that are focused on home ownership are those that come to us. Our consumers they pay like a loan type fees for us to get in. They pay an origination fee of 1%. And an underwriting fee is $655, but there's no down payment requirements, right? So it's 100% financing for families with no income limits. So we have self-employed people that have really good businesses, but they don't have that 2 years of tax returns, and they've got cash flow. But right now they're being offered non-QM mortgages, right, at 70 LTV or 75 LTV at 6.5% or 8% interest.
Mm-hmm.
So we're a terrific alternative to that segment of the population for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So you just said you are moving into Arizona, or is it all set up and ready to go here?
Yep, we're live in Arizona statewide right now.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great. Any other things that you want to make sure agents know about this before we move on to the next segment?
Yeah, I think for agents, we've seen agent teams have tremendous success. And in, Georgia as an example, we had an agent team down there who really understood. They took the time to understand our process. We've got a whole bunch of marketing resources and materials on Trio Residential. We have, downloadable items for your social media, for mailers, for door hangers, for rental complexes, all sorts of tools for you. And our marketing team's available to generate new tools anytime. But, this team down in Georgia, they did simple outreach. They used the old school stuff, Craigslist and, mailers and door hangers. Right. And in their first year with us, they closed 60 transactions. And that 60 transactions was more than doubled because a lot of the families that came to them were folks that just weren't sure. They didn't think they were qualified and they didn't want to hear a no, right? So they were able to take our 60 on our side, but they got, I think the total was somewhere around 80 transactions of people that did qualify that responded to them. So yes, we definitely want to do business as Trio, but our goal is to get people into home ownership. And if they can get into a mortgage, get them into a mortgage. And our lenders will do that pre-qual for them, or, the agents lenders can. But we're a great tool to help people get off the sidelines is my point.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm on the site right now, the Trio Residential. And it looks like, so I see there's some branding in there, the marketing and social, everything's in there. It looks like it's pretty easy access for agents to get in. So, agents, again, trioresidential.com. Check that out. It might be a great additional resource for you here in Arizona and also California, Texas. Let's see, you're moving into Texas now, right?
Texas and Nevada. Yep. So all the Southwest basically with Texas and Georgia, and soon to be in Colorado.
All right. Awesome, Darryl. Thanks so much for sharing that.
You got it. Thanks,
I really
Jeff.
appreciate it. We'll make sure to, we'll put some links out there too and make sure agents know how to get there. Are you ready to move to the next segment? You ready to get in the ring? I think you are, right?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. The next segment on your show. Sorry. I thought you were talking about a different marketplace. Forgive me.
No.
Got it. Let's go.
Well, you can let us know if you're like what's on the horizon for sure. If you have other.
No, we're good to go, man.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right.
These are quick fires.
All right. Here we go. What's the best advice that anyone's ever given you?
Oh, probably the best advice is to look at what others have done successfully and transition that into what you do. Awesome. How about a favorite mobile app? Oh, ThinkTrio.com. I like our Trio mobile app. I saw there was a mobile app on there. There you go. Yeah. A book recommendation? For books, I love the latest stuff probably by Daniel Silva is who I like. All right. Any productivity tool or software that you use on a regular basis? I'd say that we're big users of SharePoint, and I think that the sharing tools through SharePoint are really strong. I mean, we transitioned away from Dropbox using that, so probably I'd go with SharePoint. All right, there we go. And one final question I'll ask. We normally have you draw from the mask. This is beautiful. But what is that, velvet? I picked it out for you. Favorite sport and favorite sports team? Let's go with football, and I'll hang with my home team at the Seahawks. There we go. Ooh, I don't know. Joey's a Cardinals fan. Yes. I know. That's why it's right there, man. That's funny. Drove by the stadium yesterday, actually. Your stadium, that is. Oh, awesome. Yeah?
The mothership.
Oh, whatever it is. Hasn't brought a lot of luck to him. No. But it is nice. Yeah, nice stadium. Well, Darryl, thank you so much for being on. We truly appreciate it. Thanks again for Security Title bringing you on here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks, guys. No, great to be on, and anytime we can do follow-ups, happy to do it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. And agents, make sure to jump on there. Go out to trioresidential.com. Check it out. And until next time, we will see you later.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Yes.